All right, everyone. We are going to get going. So I would like to welcome you to our webinar on unlocking the gold within your applicant tracking system. My name is Brad DiPolo. I am the co-founder and CEO of Candidate Hub. And with us today, we have James Whitelock, who is our um, one of our marketing advisors and is the managing director of a company called Think in Circles. Um, and so we're actually going to kick things off with a little bit about ourselves, I guess. I started Candidate Hub to try to revolutionize the way that we're approaching the recruitment space, bringing a bit of that e-commerce type feel and e-commerce type approach to recruitment, and really trying to drive a better candidate experience using tools like automation and whatnot. Um, James, do you want to just introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure, no worries. Thank you very much, Brad. My name is James Whitelock, and I'm the MD at Think in Circles. We're a marketing agency, but I also do some work with Brad, helping and supporting Candidate Hub with their marketing and their outreach. And looking forward to this session today to help people kind of get the most from their candidate databases, and hopefully we can kind of help you unlock that gold and that amazing data that you've already got in there.
So, James, you want to talk a little bit about the value of recruitment marketing? This is your domain, your experience. So just a little bit about why this is so important and how it can benefit companies.
Sure. Thank you very much, Brad. So, I'm not going to go into all the details around what recruitment marketing is. I'm sure everybody here kind of understands the kind of premises. But really, what we want to do today is kind of understand what recruitment marketing acting as that kind of powerful magnet and attracting those kind of ideal candidates to your company. While an up-to-date kind of job seeking or kind of candidate database is that fertile ground where those attracted talents kind of take root, and kind of effective recruitment marketing kind of paints this compelling picture of your company, your culture, your values, and the opportunities, enticing in these individuals to get them to apply for the right at the right time to the right jobs in the kind of in a pace and an efficiency that is you can kind of manage. Um, However, simply kind of generating that interest isn't really enough. An accurate and current database ensures that those kind of applications land in the right person's hands, into the right recruiter's hands, allowing recruiters to kind of efficiently identify and engage the best kind of fit for those candidates. So, kind of think of it as this kind of maintaining this kind of talent pool of constantly replenishing, that your marketing efforts and your recruit marketing efforts are all going towards, leading to a much kind of smoother and more successful hiring process. So that's kind of where kind of marketing, recruit marketing kind of then feeds into your kind of database. So what are the things that are kind of affecting all this at the minute? What are the kind of current trends that we are seeing? So we're definitely kind of seeing a lot more of kind of personalization and all the way down to kind of hyper personalization. And this can be from on site, or this can be from the kind of the emails that you are kind of sending out, or the kind of correspondence you're sending out, the collateral, that can be incredibly kind of personalized. And I don't mean personalized as in the fact that you've kind of know someone's name, but you can kind of base this, or you can base all this kind of content on someone's kind of previous history, or and also these days bringing in kind of intent data as well, and getting that right kind of content and kind of in front of them at the right time. So that's the kind of personalization we're talking about. We know also from studies that candidates are now and job applicants are expecting a much more fast and efficient process. I'm sure kind of Brad will take you through some of these stats, but the kind of amount of dropouts after a certain point, or certain clicks or certain time, is only increasing, because there are so many businesses out there that are trying to kind of to work at this. There's so much choice, basically. And so a candidate doesn't necessarily have to kind of hang around. So if your kind of whole kind of process isn't particularly efficient, then we're seeing a lot more kind of candidates easily and more and dropping out of that kind of process. The other thing that we are seeing is employee advocacy, and this dips its toe really into kind of employer branding, which obviously kind of dovetails with recruitment marketing. But this employer advocacy piece is basically is kind of identifying the people who already work within your business to be the advocates about what a great place it is to work. So this is that kind of next level of employer branding, and that advocacy basically is there because more and more job seekers and candidates are doing their research on you as much as you research them. So they want to see those kinds of stories and that storytelling within your business and what a great place it is to work. So some of the challenges in converting candidates and job seekers that we're seeing in a minute is that kind of shifting expectation. As I said, where they're expecting it to be a much faster process and just a much better, smoother kind of process than it ever has been before. I think a lot of kind of job seekers are ways just as kind of savvy around this as recruiters are now, and are expecting that process to be way smoother. And this leads into kind of things like an inefficient application process. If it takes, if it's not clear the steps that the person has to get through to complete the application process, um, and if that application process is just very kind of clunky and not very user friendly. Lack of communication are the things that kind of that really is a real kind of challenge. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that today within kind of Candidate Hub, but not being able to kind of message people at the right times, at the right kind of stages along the processes they maybe when they're engaging with the recruiters is one thing that is really kind of a real challenge. A little bit around kind of bias is still a kind of issue sometimes, but there is now more and more tools to kind of overcome that. Targeting the right channels. So, we only really think sometimes as recruiters that there's only one or two kind of main networks that we want to kind of be part of, but actually there's a plethora out there that we need to kind of expand our reach. Hence looking for potential kind of developers in certain kind of networks, and obviously you go other networks for other pots of kind of talent, and thinking much more along those lines. And timing. This is something again that we'll kind of cover a little bit with in Candidate Hub, is getting stuff to people at the right time. So understanding intent is kind of one of the kind of bigger challenges to get your job in front of the right person just when they're right. This when they're considering kind of that move. And the last thing before I kind of hand over to Brad is the importance of keeping an up-to-date database. So you obviously want to, this is the goal that everybody kind of tries to do anyway, right? But it's never as easy, especially if you've kind of got multiple recruiters and talent acquisition specialists kind of piling into one kind of ATS or one recruitment database. It can become very messy very quickly. But why you want to do that, reasons why you don't want to go down that route, right, is, this is going to reduce your recruitment costs. Okay, so the faster you can kind of streamline these kind of processes, the better and cheaper it's going to become. And then once you've got that kind of more cleaner data in there, you can start making some more kind of data-driven in decisions. And we talk about all this within recruitment market anyway. But if you've got a lot of kind of dirty and old data in your database, really, you can't make those kind of data-driven decisions because it's not relevant, or it's out of date, or it's duplicated, or something like that. And in the end, where you really want to get to is with your kind of clean database, it's that kind of faster hiring time. And I know Brad is going to talk a little bit about that today. So hopefully that was kind of useful to kind of set the scene for some of the things we kind of do at Candidate Hub and some things we can support you with. And I know Brad is now going to take you through some tips and things around the system, as well as a demo of that as well.
Thanks, James. So when we talk about the importance of an up-to-date database, we really need to think of it as sort of $1 million resource. Are you sitting on $1 million resource? Research with stats from Zippa, which recently indicated that it costs about $20 per applicant. And when you think about where those costs come from, it's the time that you're spending writing the job descriptions to attract the candidates, any agency fees if you're using external agencies to help you with that marketing and costs, advertising costs, time you're spending on LinkedIn sourcing candidates and driving them to your career sites and application pages. All of this stuff, we think of cost per click with Indeed, or cost per application, or the cost of posting a job on a job board. And these are only just small pieces of the pie. When we think about bringing in a candidate, It costs $20 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you multiply that by 50,000 or 100,000 candidates, now you've got over $1 million worth of data. So how do you best leverage this $1 million resource? And so we're going to talk about sort of 5 quick ways that you can pull that data, maximize it, and get that candidate resource, that $1 million resource working in your favor as opposed to against you. Because if you're reaching out and engaging with candidates that are already shown interest in your organization, candidates that are sort of a little bit warm, you can dramatically reduce your time to fill as much as even 50% in most cases. So um, one of the first things that we want to look at is taking that data and segmenting it. So it's really important to break it down into specific groups and personas. So we can build those based on things such as what are they engaging with online? What are they showing interest in? What skills or experiences do they have? What job preferences do they have? Are they interested in developer roles? Are they interested in nursing opportunities? Are they Ruby developers versus Python developers? Are they um, do they have certain experiences that we want to target? Those types of things. So the more you can segment and group those candidates into different personas and different categories, it becomes much easier to personalize your communication and cater to the unique needs of each different group. So each group is going to have different things that's going to attract to them and going to show interest to them. So it really allows you to create a very tailored candidate experience. And recent stat by Smart Recruiters in the report that they showed said that candidates with a poor experience are 185% less likely to refer a colleague or a friend to your organization. So that's a huge, staggering number that we want to make sure that we can impact. So um, by segmenting your candidates, you can really create personalized, targeted, and timely messages so that you can better match those candidates to the current opportunities you have. I mean, one of the things that we say at Candidate Hub is it's where opportunity meets readiness. Um, in order to do really good segmentation and in personalization and communication with candidates is tracking sort of what they're engaging with and what they're what clicks are they making across multiple channels, whether it's your career site or your social media channels or whatnot. um, are they reading blog posts? Are they opening their emails? A lot of the tools out there will tell you what the open rate is and the click-through rate is, and that's great information. But what did they do after they clicked on that email link and got to that landing page? Did they engage with any content on that landing page? And most of the tools out there that people are using to track these engagements don't give you that kind of information. So the more you can track this engagement, you can react to it and create personalized content that's on the candidate's timeline. Um, the more they engage, or as they engage more frequently, they're going to get better and more personalized content. So early on in early on in the process, the top of the funnel, sort of the awareness stage, we want to make sure that we're delivering content to them that's going to be relevant to them. It's all about them. It has nothing to do with us. And as we drive down the funnel, then we can start focusing on specific opportunities. So here are the job opportunities that we think you would be a good match for. Um, and triggered emails have a much higher open rate. So if you think about it, you're getting an email because you in a response to something that you've done and content that you've engaged with. So you would be more likely to open that versus a cold email that's come out, just saying, hey, we have an opportunity. Are you interested in it? It's going to give you a much better open rate and much better engagement rate. And you can also identify contacts that have become inactive or haven't engaged recently, so you can try to bring them back through the funnel and get them back in sort of into the fold. And one of the ways that we do that is using what we call reactivation emails. So these are designed to bring back candidates who've become inactive or disengaged. People sort of awake the dead campaign to revive your candidate database. And this is one of the first things that we do with our clients. So we'll take data out of their ATS if they're working on a specific role or whatnot, and we'll put them through some reactivation campaigns to try to build some interest and some loyalty, and really get that pipeline flowing again. So um, once you start building this communication with your candidates, you reduce the likelihood the candidates are going to ghost you during the recruitment process because you're providing up-to-date, current, continuous, transparent communication with them. And that's what candidates are looking for. Candidates ghost us because we've ghosted them historically in the past. And so if we can provide that relevant communication, we're gonna get that pipeline flowing, and we're gonna have less offer declines, less ghosting, and those sorts of things. So those reactivation emails are a great way to start getting that candidate database up to date, and rebuilding that pipeline. Once you sort of have that communication flowing, then you want to start getting into sort of more long-term candidate nurturing. And you do that by creating automated processes of engaging with candidates, building relationships with them over time. And it really, you want to sort of pay attention to where they are in the funnel. Are they in the early stages of that process, the awareness interest stage, when they're just sort of identifying whether or not they're open to a new opportunity. I shared a post recently from my good friend Evan, who's on this call, talking about passive versus reactive candidates, and Evan kind of refers them as to reluctant candidates more than passive candidates, which is really a good way of looking at it. So those reluctant candidates that are sort of early in the process, in the awareness stage, you want to build trust with them. You need to build trust with them by providing valuable content to them, and relevant content to them. And this is where the segmentation comes in. So once you've got them segmented, you can really sort of personalize the conversations that you're having with them. And if you're doing it based on sort of stage, now you're really sort of warming them up down the funnel. And as they get farther down the funnel, then you can start sharing more employee stories, company achievements, new things that you're working on, and then ultimately down to, when they hit that ready for hire stage, now you can really start to share more specific job details. So, these are the opportunities we have. We think we'd be open to it. Or even better yet, once they hit that ready for hire stage, now you pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, listen, James, we have an opportunity we think you might be interested in, where we've seen you that we've noticed that you've been looking at our website, whatnot. So you can really drive that funnel down a lot faster with that personalized content. And we do that through sort of lead scoring. So the more they engage with your content, uh, the more they click on different parts of your website and your social content, and that sort of thing. We provide or we assign points to each of those actions. So um, you want to make sure that you're determining which actions or engagements are real significant indicators of interest or suitability. So you can score them based on skills. So once they apply for a job, we can pull those skills and make sure that they're fitting what you're looking for. If they're watching uh, uh, employee video online on your website or anything like that, sort of those high intent actions, you want to score them a little higher. If they fill out a form to download something from your career site, that's obviously a high intent, so that's something we're going to score higher. And one thing to really kind of consider too is incorporating negative scoring for actions that might indicate a lack of interest. So, if they're not active for a certain amount of time, maybe they lose some points, or if they are, not engaging, those types of things, or not opening emails, that sort of thing, you might want to uh, negatively score them just so that they're staying in balance, and you're seeing really who's opening and who's engaging and who's not. And then ultimately, it's important to integrate that with your applicant tracking system or your CRM or whatever database you're using to manage your candidates, so that recruiters, when they're looking at this list of candidates that have applied for jobs and whatnot, they can see sort of who's most engaged, who's most ready for a conversation. So if you think about it, if you were selling a car, um, and you had to make one phone call, would you rather call somebody that's been on your website, done a build and price, has come in the past to the dealership, has maybe done a test drive, or would you rather call somebody who filled out a form on your website 6 months ago and you haven't heard from since? I mean, it's a pretty obvious who you'd want to have a conversation with there. But historically in recruitment, we didn't know that. We wouldn't have a way to tell which candidates have been engaging on our career site and those sorts of things. And that's what Candidate Hub really allows you to do. So I'm going to take a minute and sort of walk you through how some of that works online, or live, sort of within Candidate Hub. Um, So this is our Candidate Hub dashboard where we, talk about candidate data and whatnot, and we can really see sort of where candidates are coming from, what their sort of how many visits you're getting, email times when people are emailing, reading emails, and all this stuff. This is really important data for understanding the process and understanding what's working, what's not working, which channels are most effective, which pipelines are working best, and those sorts of things. So we talked about candidate segments and creating segments and profiles of your candidates. And the best way to do that is, within Candidate Hub, we can create segments based on specific actions, specific things that candidates are doing, and whatnot. Um, So, we obviously we want to give our segment a name. So, career site visitors, for example, or we might call it engineers or whatever. And then we can choose different filters to filter those by. So we can filter them by, um, whether they're visiting from a certain device, based on their points, based on certain tags, UTM score, UTM codes, or if they clicked on any certain links, so their behaviors. And this is where it gets really interested. So, we can segment candidates based on specific websites visited, um, how many times they visited a website, sources they're coming from, um, uh, number of times they read an email, those sorts of things. So we can really start to segment based on those candidate behaviors. So that kind of sets us apart from some other the competition where we can really focus on that sort of segmentation. And then again, when we talk about candidate data, one of the important things is being able to actually track exactly what's happening with candidates. So, we can see everything that they do, from segment changes, emails sent and read, times they've gotten points, what they've done to get those points, um, specific web pages they visited, um, and things like that. So um, it becomes really kind of important to see sort of that behavior, and you can see what they're engaging with. And then again, we can assign points to those. Um, our When it comes to building communication with candidates, one of the most important things that we have is sort of our emails. And we have two kind of ways that we can build emails within Candidate Hub. One of the new features that we've launched is um, our email wizard, which allows us to build sort of an AI-driven email. So we can decide, what type of email we want to build, if it's a newsletter, or if it's going to be in part of a campaign, or if we want to get them to fill out a form, those sorts of things. So, let's say we want to send an email for a newsletter, what type of newsletter we want to build. Um, and then if we have any existing emails that would be similar, we can sort of pick that as this is the sort of email that we're going to use. And then the language that we want it to be in, and the tone that we want it to be in. So we want it to be informal, humorous, these sorts of things. So we can then, build out a custom email, which will sort of look like this. So the AI kind of creates the email for you, and then you just have to go in and add some logos and change your text up a little bit, but it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. The other way that we have for building emails is just with our plain um, templates. So you can build either a template email or something that we can use in campaigns, whatnot. A segment email we can use if we're sending out like a newsletter. And then once we kind of go into our builder is very just sort of drag and drop. We can customize the colors so that it automatically comes to your colors with your socials and all that stuff. And it's just a drag and drop builder. If I want to change a logo, then or add an image, it's just all drag and drop. So our email builder is fairly straightforward and fairly powerful. We can categorize these and all, so it becomes real easy to sort of get to them. Um, Once we have sort of our forms, our emails, our landing page builder is very much the same. It's built on that sort of same structure. Then we can go into sort of our campaign section, and our campaign allows us to really create very personalized journeys for candidates. And this is sort of where the magic of Candidate Hub comes from. So we can either build a campaign that starts from a specific segment, or it starts from a form if they fill out an application form online or whatnot. And so, let's say we have this segment that we're going to run. So every time we we have sort of three choices. We can either perform a decision, which is really if then. So if the candidate does this, then we're going to do that. And action is something that we're going to do. And a condition is, does their skill match this? Is their title this? If this field equals this, then we're going to do something. So typically, if we were building, for example, a reactivation campaign, what we would do is we would start off with an email. We would pick the email that we want to send. If we don't have one already built, we can create new and go through that process as we talked about with your email builder and whatnot. We typically recommend that you build your emails for your campaigns before you start building the campaign. Um, so once you have that email built, uh, then you add, so let's just say I'm going to build activation email one. Um, the internal name is what you're calling it internally, so you can easily see it. So we send that email, then we can make a decision on it. Do they open the email? Do they reply to the email? Do they visit a page? Depending on the actions that you want to take. So we can really personalize this journey. And so let's say if they open the email, then we want to add points, or maybe we want to send them another email and just continue to nurture them down the process. If they don't open the email, then maybe we're going to send them the email again, or we'll send them a text message, or some other form of communication, or send them through a webhook. We can communicate if you're using a software that'll allow you to send automated LinkedIn messages. We can push through that, send them a message on LinkedIn. So maybe we're just going to send the email again, but we're going to wait, say, 3 days, and send it off. So, we're going to send that same email again. So we can build out these fairly complex campaigns that will really analyze what the candidate is doing and trigger communications based on those behaviors from the candidates. So the campaign builder really is sort of the heart of Candidate Hub, and understanding exactly what is happening and nurturing those candidates and building lasting relationships as compared to a lot of like the email builders and automated messages that you're sending out that really just are a 1, 2, 3 sequence email. Do they open it? Do they not? This really allows us to go into really deep, personalized journeys based on how the candidate is behaving. And then ultimately, we want to we want to score our candidates based on certain actions. So, um, you know, we call it a watch the video. So if we had or if we had a specific landing page where we had that video, we could track that, maybe give them 5 points for doing that. Or we can also, if they open an email, we can give them points for that. Down or visiting or downloading specific assets. So if we have white pages, or ebooks, or anything along those lines that candidates might be able to download, we can give them points for that as well. So all of this really gives us the opportunity to give a really strong, tailored approach to nurturing these candidates, and providing with a really well-defined, personalized journey that will bring those candidates that haven't engaged in a while back into the fold, and back into uh, a situation where they're ready to have a conversation with a recruiter. So, James, anything you want to add in sort of some closing thoughts on how this sort of all plays out in terms of nurturing that funnel back into that $1 million database?
Yeah, so like I kind of following on from what I said at the start, you can kind of see where the kind of what we've identified as some of the kind of issues that people are having around kind of their candidate databases, their conversion rates, getting people to engage. What you kind of Brad has just kind of showed is that there's within Candidate Hub there's a solution for all of those kinds of nuances, and that you kind of when implemented kind of within a business, it can definitely kind of increase those efficiencies, increase that time to hire, and increase those so that kind of timeliness that you're kind of getting your message in front of the kind of right people at the right time, which is the big kind of issues and big problems that we've seen from some of our clients and the people that we've kind of spoken to.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate your time today. And if you want to reach out, you can find us at candidatehub.io. My email is brad@candidatehub.io, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Happy to have a conversation with anybody that might have any questions, any follow-up questions. thank you very much for taking the time to join us today.